Hello and welcome to the Understanding Narcissists YouTube channel. This episode is going to be about mistakes. Now, I don't need to tell you that mistakes are just woven into the fabric of life. There's nothing you can do about it. I think mistakes can be a really good thing by and large, and a very useful thing in acquiring wisdom and necessary thing. But due to I don't really want to get philosophical with this, but due to, I guess, overwhelming social forces and institutions and things, I do feel like a lot of us are taught that mistakes are almost sinful, that they're something you should avoid at all costs. They're only costly. They do not help you in any way, and everything you do should be bent on avoiding mistakes and not taking risks. Now, to take that in the context of narcissists who basically grab that idea and run with it, because narcissists are so fragile, they're so vulnerable, that mistakes, and especially the committing of mistakes in front of people, and looking like they're error-prone people, it's just deadly. It's the thing one of the things they fear the very most. They have to look like they are competent, and that's into their kind of infantile brain, their childlike mind. That means that they do not make mistakes. Only you make mistakes. They only fix mistakes and problems, and they have all the answers and the solutions. Now, without going too much into my personal life philosophy, I do think that this thing is probably the fear of mistakes and risks, reasonable risks to get to big rewards, is probably the biggest reason that narcissists are so stunted and they never accomplish anything. I am always so skeptical when I have readers or viewers write to me and talk about, somebody they're wondering is a narcissist, and they start telling me how successful the person is. And I'm always like, I'm always confused because I can't think of any examples where a narcissist is truly successful or somebody big, even in a very mainstream way. I've said this many times before. I just don't see it. They're never the president of a company. They're never really masters of their craft. It's not that they can't get good at stuff and have, maybe some of them can be passionate about a particular subject and be good at it, but it doesn't happen that much. It's a rarity. It's the exception and not the rule among narcissists. They're always conformists. They're always a member of the boring masses. They don't want to look like that. They act like the complete opposite, but that's all in the words, that's all in the show and the facade, the superficial game, all that kind of stuff. That's what they're good at, that's what they play. But as far as their actions, they don't really do anything. The only thing they really do is abuse. That's the thing they're best at. Now, that's not something you can go parade and show off. They do derive a lot of, I guess you could say, narcissistic supply from it. Their ego is very much fueled by, they think that they're these masterminds behind the scenes that nobody can find, discover and catch in the act, because they're just too smooth, they're just too smart, or they're just too good at what they do. So they derive their supply from that, but that's not something you can go parade around and show off, because that would make them bad. And for some reason, they equate being bad with making mistakes. There must be a huge penalty to any, and it doesn't really matter. It's often really small mistakes. It's not something that leads you to financial ruin or a huge life, risking your life over something you didn't even know it, or something that was totally unnecessary. It's usually small, minute things that they think makes them look stupid. That's basically it. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing, and they're terrified. Now, you can see how that's kind of a recipe, an equation for total disaster, because it really guarantees you will never do anything. It I got to say it again, it absolutely guarantees you will never try to accomplish anything. And I think that is really why they never get anywhere. It's because they are deathly afraid of these things. They are so scared because you can see how much they value what people believe about them, what they have to instill in people, the illusion, because they are so scared it is not true. I think they would rather die than have to face up to and own any of it. And honestly, actions or choices, the very fact that they never do admit to it, including their fear of mistakes, by the way, which terrified of, never going to talk about, that really clearly articulates better than any words, anything I can say, just how scared they are that there is something wrong with them, because they avoid it at all costs, and their entire lives are devoted to avoiding it and suppressing it at all costs, so it is not true, just because they are not strong enough to admit it. They cannot handle it. They cannot deal with it. Now, the sad thing is, you think, if we're reasonable people, we would think, well, if they could deal with it, hey, maybe they could do something in their lives. But you're thinking reasonably. You're getting too far ahead of yourself. They are not. They cannot begin to approach that. And it's really sad because there's a lot of wasted talent. As I said, some narcissists are, I've seen them. They're supremely talented. They're just like any of us. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how gifted they are, how smart they are. They're still narcissists, and they are just at the absolute mercy of their disease. And I'm just going to say illness. And really wrap your head around that, and you start to realize that they're also not players in the game of life. I don't like that because it's really cliche, but they're always the spectators, they're always the critics, they're always on the outside lines. They're not really doing anything. And when they get down on the ground to do something, it's very superficial. Most of it's talk. It's all hot air. They're not going to put themselves in a position where they could look dumb. But you got to do that in order to accomplish anything in life, especially stuff that's innovative, because by definition, what a lot of people are doing is not going to be innovative, and they're going to be doing what everybody else is doing. And so when you start to break away from that to do something that's unique and that may be valuable, because there's not very much of it in the world, by necessity, you are taking a risk because you could be wrong. It may not be a great idea. It may not be a very productive activity. And so then you avoid it at all costs. Narcissists have taken that to such an extreme length that that's exactly what they want to be. They want to be the innovator. They want to be the brilliant creative mind that broke all the rules, that defied, the common sense, conventional wisdom, whatever of the day, and proved everybody wrong. Again, that's kind of a cliche and stereotype in and of itself, but that is something that they try to kind of absorb into their archetype, what they present to everybody, but because of the exact opposite. Because the actual position, if you're not going to take any risks, that means you really have to be incapable of doing anything at all, because you're never going to learn how to do anything. You're never going to, for fear of looking stupid, you're never going to acquire any special skills, anything that, and really helps you with your own identity, by the way. This is a problem of identity they have, them wrestling with their ego. And they're never really able to express themselves. They don't deal with their emotions. And so there really is nothing there. It's just to please others and what others think. They don't have any other values of their own that they're trying to actualize and achieve. There's no personhood there. There's no self in order to carry out, the will, I'm going way too off, the will of an individual, to be a unique human being. They don't have those elements in them. They want them, but they don't want it. They can't deal with all the stuff that's required to get them. They can't fathom it. And so they pretend to be something they're not. And like, as I say, the big cost of that is basically you're not really able to do much of anything. They're going to have to rely on you because you're the one who has to handle stuff. They've got to take all the good they can, every bit of credit they possibly can to survive, because that's what they need to feel like competent people and not totally blow up. And make that illusion real, whatever it may be. Therefore, they're in a position where they're the critic, they're the cynic. They're the person on the outside who's always talking, telling you what to do and what's right and what's wrong, and they just go on and on and on, and it never stops, and they're a big blowhard, and they fill the room with talk. But talk is cheap if you're not acting on it, and that's a really crucial mechanism that you have to understand to really get narcissists. And you see them in their life situation, it's, in my experience, it's never terribly impressive. And if it looks impressive, all it means is they're probably doing a pretty good job of making it look impressive, and it's really bad beyond that once you get past the superficial level. Because I've been in a situation, I have the virtue of having grown up in an environment with narcissists, where I know what it's like behind closed doors versus what people see, and it's bad. I mean, you can look like you're perfectly normal and even a family that other people admire and would like to be, and they have no idea just how bad it is to live with a narcissist and what it's like behind those closed doors. So this is a really powerful mechanism. When you're trying to track them, when you're trying to understand their choices and their behaviors, they're not going to do anything, because they got to really it's just like, being the head of the family. They want to get back into that environment, that dysfunctional environment, be the head of the family and be controlling the family. That's really what they do. That's what they're going to do. They don't do much in the external world. They don't do much socially with other people. They don't really have friends. I want to make that a subject of a different video. Narcissists don't have friends. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.